Hey guys, James Wilson Taylor here for Rock Sound. It's the latest of our video calls. We're chatting with everybody while we're still stuck at home at the minute, but I'm delighted to say from between you and me, Jake is on the line. How are you, man?
Good, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. Surviving is the phrase I like to use. I am surviving and keeping on. And we've started all of these actually in kind of the same way, which is to say, I hope your bandmates, loved ones, all that, you're all keeping safe, keeping as well as you can throughout all of this madness. And
thanks, mate. Yeah, we're still kicking for now.
Good. Before we kind of get into the new music and everything, how has this kind of downtime been for you? You were out of Australia when this all hit, right? Go on.
We did we were doing a tour in like March of 2020, and we're like, oh, sick, we'll do this tour, and then straight after we'll go to Canada in like April and record album 2. And the tour got like cut short because COVID, started ramping up, and we're like, fuck it, we're here to do the album. Let's just like head for Canada right now. And so we got there. We're like, okay, things are kind of fine here. A couple days in, like everything just cooked, and our manager was like, I need to get you guys home right now, otherwise you're not getting home. So I mean, like we like, oh, I guess the record's not happening now, but it'll happen, at some stage. But we came back to Australia and everything was fine. It's like it didn't exist down here.
Yeah, you guys have been quite fortunate, which is great. Congrats on that. I guess we've had very, very different years, I think, on the other sides of the globe.
It's funny how they're turning now. You guys are getting vaccinated, and 2.5% of our country has been vaccinated. So,
oh, mate,
we're a while off.
We'll come through it. We will come through it eventually. It's vaguely positive. But I guess in terms of the record, then let's kind of start there. We know it is coming. Sure. Did you end up then just working on it once you guys had got back home? Were you still working with the same people you'd planned on, but remotely? How'd it work?
So we were very intent on working with Sam for the record. We came home and we're like, okay, let's just reshape the idea. It gave us more time to work on songs, because if we went into the album with the songs that we had at the time, it would have been very different, I think. Like our first single, Supervillain, wasn't even written at that point. Would have been interesting to see how that turned out. But we got home, we're like, okay, let's just give it a couple months. We somehow finessed the government into letting Sam fly over here to Australia because he was considered essential work. He was essential for our business to get record 2 done. But yeah, we did that in like November, December. So like, yeah, we had a whole extra year pretty much of just like, working on ideas, writing songs. And I think it worked out for the best for us, for sure.
That's interesting. Like, how different a sound developed then? Is it like very, very different type of material than what you would plan to do?
No. Like, it's not like the material was different. It's just like we didn't have some of the amazing songs that are on this record.
Got you, right.
Like Supervillain was like a song that we wrote in, like, Bassy sent me over like bass and drums, and I wrote the main part of the song in a day, like while I was on the lawnmower at work. Just like things like that wouldn't have happened if we just like came straight off the tour and like went straight into the studio. So I'm super thankful that we came back for like 8 months before we did the record.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Tell me a little bit about Supervillain, actually. Obviously, that's out there now for people to hear as the kind of big single. Big poppy vibes. Really nice kind of kickoff for the era, really. It sets a nice tone. It's got some big energy to it. Some really nice new production in there from you guys too. Talk to me a little bit about that one in particular.
Well, that's like a reason we wanted to go with Sam as well, because we're like, we had a meeting with him overseas, and we're like, oh, this guy's a good vibe. He hadn't really done any huge records, and we're like, this would be perfect. Like, we're both trying to just do something new here. So he was like definitely the right guy for the job, and that's why I think like when you listen to it, you're like, oh, there's definitely some interesting things in there, like the clapping and stuff in the second verse. It's all like very country dancey or however you want to look at it. But yeah, we definitely wanted to show people with this first single that we're still somewhat of the same band, but we just like are definitely good in other genres other than just what you guys think we're good at. You know what I mean? That's why like on the YouTube comments, people are like, oh, the chorus is good, but like the verses fucking suck. Like, well, I mean, that's your opinion. It's wrong, but
I hadn't seen that reaction, but I like that. At least they like the choruses. There you go.
No, I mean, like some people really love it. Like you said, it's a cool musical change. And then other people are like, what the fuck happened? But
Well,
like you can't please everyone.
it's doing the classic second album thing, which we like, which is you took the basics of what worked on that debut and you're trying to push yourself a little bit in new areas. It definitely still sounds like you guys, but it's growing.
That's what we thought too. Like we're like, it just sounds like a more mature BYAM. And I think it would be silly for us to still be writing the same music as we did in 2017. Like as it's been 4 years since then. Like, I don't know, maybe if we released an album like a year after, the sound wouldn't have progressed that much. But like since it had been so long, it's kind of weird that people aren't expecting that kind of a shift. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I mean, was that the kind of aim going into it? Because it's always funny, isn't it, when it's a second album and people working on that material? Did you want to did you have elements from the debut you wanted to grow, or did you have anything you want to kind of react and push against? How did it compare with working on that?
it wasn't. It's funny. I don't think it was even discussed. You know what I mean?
Right.
We just like it was naturally just like what we wrote. We wrote some fucking sick songs, and like we were kind of worried like before the record. We're like, fuck, like album 2, like you said, it's like the make or break. But we came out of it going, fuck, this is such a good record. And I don't care. I'm my own biggest cheerleader. I don't care. I think the record's fucking awesome. And I think there'll be like something on there for everyone. I think if you don't like Supervillain, then you probably like, at least a few of them on there. But like you said, I don't think it doesn't sound like BYAM. I just think we sound way better.
Yeah. It's naturally growing, isn't it? It's always going to be the way. Bands get better over time a lot of the day, especially when it's around the first, second album where you want to push yourselves and try new things. It's really
totally
cool to see. No, it's exciting, man. It's very, very exciting. I saw you actually were tweeting something a little while back that you're already thinking about what's next, though, aren't you? Which is what everyone seems to be doing now. You've had so much downtime, right? How far ahead are you thinking at the minute?
So there were songs that I definitely wrote going into the second album, like when we recorded in November, that were definitely didn't fit on this one, but I'm like, oh, they sound so good, I want to use them. And then like that's why we had Sam there too. He's like, okay, let's just think about this as a cohesive piece of art, because it is. Those songs don't really belong on here. Like that's LP3. So I've literally already written like 5 or 6 songs for LP3. I have the name of the album already locked away. I know where we're going, but we got to wait a couple of years to get there, I think. Man, but because like it had been so long between records, right? Like we had already written record 2, and then it's not even out yet, and it's been like half a year since we've recorded it. So it'd be hard for the mind not to wonder about what's next. You know what I mean?
Well, especially I think what's been driving that with everybody recently is the absence of shows. Normally that's your distraction, isn't it? You want to get out there, you want to see how they feel and sound in front of a crowd, but you've not had that advantage for obvious reasons. So yeah, you are going to want to concentrate on other new areas too then, aren't you?
No, I fully agree.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. It's good to see what's going to come next. Well, speaking of live shows, though, there are some in the calendar down your way, which we're hopeful about. Everything's all fingers crossed at the minute, but that's got to be exciting to think about how these new songs will actually sound on the stage, right? There it is. Go. Get the plugging in. There we go. Sell those tickets.
It's funny. We haven't like played together since that tour,
right?
Like in like the start of 2020. So I think before this tour, there's going to have to be like a week of like, we go to the same state and go, okay, let's see if we remember how to play music together. And like, we got to sort out like stuff for the new songs that we're going to play and whatever, but super excited, man. Like, and I think when I was writing some of these songs, like I kind of like to envision how they're going to be live as well. And for the first record, I didn't really think about that. So we just wrote like a bunch of like fucking punk beats. And like, I was on stage just getting puffed every 5 minutes into every set. I'm like, I can't fucking sing like this anymore, man. Like I want to be able to put on a good live show, not just like, have a good record. So I think this next one's going to be a nod in that direction.
Nice. Are there any moments in particular that are already standing? I mean, I know we can't give away too much necessarily, but are there any tracks that you can immediately go in your mind like, yep, that's the set opener, that's the closer?
Dude, literally the set opener is the first song on the record, and the set closer is the last song on the record.
Oh, there we are. Really is cohesive work.
I really like to do bookends for things like, but yeah, like I've definitely like the first song on the record, I definitely wrote thinking of walking out to that track. So when that all comes to fruition, I'll be a happy man.
Exciting stuff, man. Well, and we also hope, you know, we'll get to see you in the UK at some point soon when that's allowed. You know, we're hoping sooner rather than later. Everything's
me,
up in
man.
the air, but we're all hoping, man, we get some live music back.
Give me
from
that
you guys.
vaccine and I'm
Yes!
coming, baby.
Let's get it out. Let's get it out there, man. It's happening. Well, in the meantime, dude, congrats on the single again, and look forward to hearing more, man. It's an exciting time for you guys. Congrats on putting a record together, and we will see you in the UK very soon, I hope. All right.